NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show. We're looking at the Wednesday 8-game main slate. Starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Includes the 10 p.m. games here 2 hours after the second latest game goes. We have Atlanta, Golden State. A bit of a throwback slate here for DraftKings. They haven't typically included the 10 p.m. games on these main slates, but we have it in action for us here today. We got a handful of teams on back-to-backs: New Orleans, Cleveland, Memphis. Let's see, we got OKC on a back-to-back as well. So something to look for in those games here. Obviously, Cleveland was pushed. Their starters played a lot of minutes in that loss to Boston. The Thunder currently getting beat down by San Antonio in San Antonio. We'll see how many minutes those guys end up playing if they don't close the gap in that game. Memphis, they had their matchup against Denver, which Denver ended up taking down. So should be interesting all to watch. Of course, this is a slate with a lot of good spend up options here. Giannis, SGA, Embiid under 10K, Harden, Trae Young. So it should be a fun slate overall to kind of break down and see what we can do with our lineup builds here, James.
Yeah, hopefully Embiid shows up to the game on time. Heard that's been an issue. So, yeah, I mean, it is definitely an interesting slate. Really good names. We know how OKC usually operates on back-to-backs. They've played 11 guys so far in the on the Tuesday slate. Probably going to be the same thing on the Wednesday slate. The Bucks coming off a really big win, their last time out, maybe jump starting something, and obviously in the dream spot for them. So, yeah, I mean, it is going to be a very interesting slate. Finally get Phoenix shorthanded, like away from a terrible matchup into like a slightly better matchup against the Knicks. So, yeah, all in all, really fun looking slate. Just, this is our first look overall, but it looks pretty good from what I'm seeing.
Yep. Point guard position again, 10-5 for SGA, Harden, Trae Young, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, your 9K and above tier here. Again, we're watching SGA, in this matchup against San Antonio. Harden, again, in his matchup, he gets Orlando. Trae Young against Golden State in that late night hammer, 10 p.m. Booker gets the Knicks, and then again, Curry on the other side of that spot here. Price point wise, what are your thoughts here? I mean, Curry at 91, assuming that, he's good to go there. Again, with that knee was probable, played pretty well against the Clippers. Price is kind of too cheap in these spots here, but Dyson Daniels, the great barrier thief, is certainly awaiting him here in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see we both messaged each other like Dyson Daniels. That was it. At the end of that Kings game. Did you see it? He's so good. And then kept his feet in bounds.
Yeah.
The Kings had complained about it. And then the 2-minute report came out and they were like, yeah, nothing here to see. Just all like legal stuff. So
Yep.
he is quite good. There's also something to be said about Golden State's like motion offense, and just the way that they play is just different. So we'll see how he navigates a bajillion screens and how he has to travel with Curry everywhere he goes on the floor, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think SGA is obviously a pretty great play whenever you can kind of break up one of their like big three. We know Chet's out. Second leg of a back-to-back will not impact his minutes. He's one of the few that will not. So I'm good with getting to SGA. Really tough spot for Harden. I would really like to go to Harden here, knowing Norm Powell is out. But how do we, how can you like you can't attack Orlando? I mean, they're just so good. So it's a tough like spot because I'd like to go there. Probably can't. You can play Trae in tournaments. Obviously, coming off one of the weirdest games you'll ever see Trae Young play, where he took just 7 shots. He only took 2 threes. He had 19 assists. That is
We were looking at the live line, and it was like 14.5. It's like, I don't know about that one. And then he had it basically by halftime. So
Bizarre. I mean, that is just an absolute bizarro world line. But no Jalen. I mean, Jalen Johnson's questionable again, so potentially again, like what version of Trey does he need Jalen Johnson to be in the lineup in order to shoot? I don't
I
know.
mean, they were healthy outside of Johnson in that game. They got Bogdan back. DeAndre Hunter had a really good game there. So, they're close to being back to being a complete team.
Let's see if
If
we had a
Johnson,
back to back. Do we know if Atlanta is on a back to back? They're not. So we should see everyone in that lineup again, right?
yeah,
Because no worries of back to back. So I think Trey's perfectly fine. Dude, 9,100 is a really good price for Steph Curry. It's a really, really good spot against Atlanta. So if you end up getting there, Atlanta's second in pace, and they are 22nd in defense, despite Dyson Daniels being their like one, you know, one dude
yeah,
defensively. They still are 22nd in the league. So I 9,100 for Curry. I think you and I are just kind of team that's too cheap if he's just gonna be
yeah.
the only player on this team.
Agreed. Decks here below. Also, guys, in good spots. So Brunson gets Phoenix here at $8,900. Donovan Mitchell against the Pelicans. Both of these teams on back-to-backs. We'll see if anybody in Cleveland ends up sitting. We have a pretty good feeling that Trey Murphy is going to sit for the Pelicans
Yep.
because he was left out there with the
Yeah.
bench squad at the end of that game to get his minutes up. So I would imagine Murphy sits there. And then we got Milwaukee versus Chicago. Massive pace-up spot. We saw this earlier. He had 44 fantasy points in that game against them, the second game of the season. A lot of teams are putting up a lot of fantasy points going up against Chicago here. We know we're going to take a long look at Giannis as well at his price point in this matchup. But I wouldn't shy away from playing Lillard at 87 with Giannis as well. Like, I think both can be used in the same lineup here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great spot. Lillard obviously didn't look great coming off the concussion, did still double-double, did have the game winner, played 36 minutes. I think that's all the most important stuff, right?
Yep.
The shots were there, the minutes were there, the peripherals were there.
Houston's a good defensive team. We know that, right?
And they're a good defensive team. So yeah, I am perfectly fine getting to Lillard. The price does not reflect the player, that's for sure.
Yep. What's this Maxi note? Maxi questionable.
He's returning soon. He's basically been cleared. They don't think or so I guess he went through the full practice Tuesday. There had been reports on like when is he gonna come back? Is it gonna be today or Wednesday, or is it gonna be later in the week? And a lot of the reports were saying later in the week, but full practice Tuesday, you're 2-11 calling team meetings, right? And there were all the reports saying Maxey was the guy that was the vocal one with Embiid. That is a little bit interesting if he does come back.
Obviously Memphis would be a decent spot here. Now Memphis did not play Marcus Smart in that game. He's missed the last couple, but maybe he would return in this one, 86. Got Halliburton is too cheap. Price point wise, it's not a good matchup for him. He still managed 40 fantasy points in that game. He had 5 steals and 2 blocks to carry the fantasy points. I'm probably going to fade him here, but we continually display that an 8K price point for Halliburton for what his ceiling is a little bit, a little bit of good value if you find the right matchup to take advantage of it. Van Vliet has a good matchup at $7,100 if you wanted to go there. I know you were disappointed with the way things ended for Van Vliet in that fourth quarter because he did not score again. Basically, in the final was a couple of minutes of that game.
6 minutes that he played. Like, I'm not complaining. Second leg of a back-to-back, he went almost for 50 again. Like, back-to-back games, he almost went for 50. So, like, I can't complain. It was just obviously frustrating because he didn't score. I was hoping for a little more there, but alas, didn't get it. Still a great game. Still too cheap. Great matchup against a really, really banged up team. That team is really depleted.
Yep. The Chicago guys are going to be good here too. You got Kobe White, 68. We'll talk Levine, obviously. Giddey at 6K. I know that he's had certainly some up and down performances, but lasted against Detroit, had the double-double, near triple-double. Against Milwaukee, he had the 17, 6, and 9 second game of the year. So want to get to either of them. And then we have Jared McCain here at $6,300. But I guess my question for you is, if Maxey is back, do they just play them together? Like they just send Lowry to the bench?
Here we go. I mean, Lowry's definitely to the bench. There's no way McCain.
You play McCain, Maxey, George, and Embiid, right? Like that's your team.
Yeah, and then Caleb Martin is your fifth starter.
Right.
Yeah.
You think Oubre goes to the bench?
Yeah, because they had benched Oubre before the last game.
Sure.
When they moved McCain into the starting lineup and moved Oubre to the bench. So yeah, I think that's all but sewn up that there's just no chance you don't start Jared McCain and not McCann, right? Like, there's just no chance.
Not the way he's going right now. Even if Maxey's back, I think you still play him. Maxey could be limited. Who knows? But if Maxey's out, you're definitely playing this guy. So
right,
because he has been very, very good. Anybody else in this range for you? Anybody as we work our way down? You have the Portland guys here and Sharp and Henderson, 56 and 54 against the who knows what it looks like Thunder team.
Dude, I am going to repeatedly play Shaedon Sharp while he is at the price point that he is at. I don't know. Anthony Simons is questionable. So obviously that puts a little bit of a mark on Shaedon Sharp's like last few games because he's played without Simons. He also, in that Atlanta game, only 32 minutes, he had 3 fouls in the first half. He could not stay on the floor. He had like 10 fantasy points. And then he just nuked the second half. So I think he is a 6K plus player, especially when he's going to score the way he scored and just be aggressive. I'd be okay getting to Shaedon Sharp if there's no Simons. Only way I'm playing Scoot is if there's no Simons. And also, I don't think he's even between him and Delano Banton, there's a clear option between those two, and it's not Scoot Henderson right now. So of those like 3 Portland guards, if Simons is out, Sharp and Banton are the priorities for me, and Scoot's third. And if that's reflected in ownership, then like you can obviously play leverage.
He hasn't been awful. The production
hasn't been awful.
But we know what Banton can do when getting fantasy point per minute freak really just out of nowhere here. So $5,100, you have 3 Portland guys with point guard, shooting guard eligibility here, essentially. So do with that as you will. I would assume Jalen Noel would play 30 plus minutes again with Trey Murphy out of the lineup. He got a lot of the garbage run at the end of that game tonight. So, he has that Cleveland matchup there. We'll see again who's in or out for Cleveland. They were without LeVert, Okoro, and what else? Wade, right, for that game tonight. So,
yep.
And who knows? Maybe someone else sits. You'll have Jerome. You could have. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that. So we saw Mitchell rest over the weekend, right? That was the Ty Jerome game. Donovan Mitchell played 40 minutes tonight. Darius Garland played 31, but he went 3 for 21 from the floor. They played 8 guys, John. Niang played 30 off the bench. Jerome played 28 off the bench. Craig Porter played 25 minutes off the bench. If it's like status quo and the Cleveland rotation is the same, I am really interested in a $3,500 Craig Porter. I'll just say it like that. If it's the same team, I am very interested in Craig Porter.
He was a spark plug for Cleveland in that third quarter.
He was. And like in a game that's not the in-season tournament and is a second leg of a back-to-back, Donovan Mitchell's not playing 40 minutes. We talked about it on the stream, right? Mm-hmm. They had not extended their guys at all. And this was the game that they were going to do it. And they did. Mobley played 38. Mitchell played 40. They're not going to do that against the Pelicans on the second leg of a back-to-back. So if everyone's out again or if someone's resting as well as those players, I'm firing up Craig Porter at $3,500 for sure. Same thing can be said for Jerome if somebody sits. We saw what Ty Jerome did the other day. When he started, he broke the slate. He helped me almost get a takedown, right? So Jerome's really interesting. And we have to just mention, I know like we don't know what's going to happen with Pacers guys, but TJ McConnell, dude, I don't think we have confirmation. I think Shepard's questionable, and yeah, Shepard's questionable again. Furphy's questionable. Miles Turner is questionable. It could be the same team as we saw the other day.
Yep.
And TJ McConnell was exactly the guy we thought TJ McConnell would be, where he only played mid 20s minutes because he doesn't need more than that. And he absolutely went berserk. And he's still under 5K. It'd be another smash for TJ McConnell.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure on the live stream I said McConnell's a guy that can get you 5 steals, and then he pops out for 5 steals. So
yeah, word for like verbatim 5 steals.
You mentioned the Clippers situation, right? So there's Chris Dunn here. Could be a guy that sees more minutes. There's Man. Is KBJ a shooting guard only? Probably.
No, he's 4,200. He's listed questionable, but he's not. He's not on the injury report per the last update. So he's good to go.
Yeah. Any of those guys could enter the starting lineup here.
Yep.
What do we make of the Anthony Black game that we got?
Dude, he was so good. So good. I think that he is always live to be on the floor because De Silva's the starter, right? And De Silva is not like a solidified, I'm going to go out and play him 30 minutes guy. He's a rookie. So
yeah.
If we get that game from Anthony Black again, then Anthony Black is going to, like, if we start getting this version, which we've gotten a couple times lately, then yeah, I think that they're super live to play him. Also, just to mention, he could be a guy that like gets the extra run over Jonathan Isaac. It's the front leg of a back-to-back for Orlando.
Sure.
So, where we would usually be like, again, Jonathan Isaac played 20, and he might again play 20, but where we were excited about Jonathan Isaac last game was that he was extended past the 20.
Yeah.
I don't think he would get extended on the front leg of a back-to-back. I could be wrong. But that only benefits other players. Like that only will benefit Black.
And they would extend him if they had no plans to play him on the second leg.
Right.
So,
right.
Anybody else? Case and Wallace, I guess, if there's something with Portland or OKC in this game. I mean, Wallace started anyways.
Right.
That's
probably
it. Shooting guard. Booker and Ingram are your top two. Again, Donnie Mitch, which we think Donovan Mitchell's going to sit this one. $8,800.
Could sit, but piecing stuff together.
Yeah. Could sit. Think he sits. Could sit. Those guys are fine. Bane had a tough day. I really like Levine at 71. I think there's some really nice upside here. Had 25 actual against them. I mean, I'm pretty good with getting the Zach Levine here at $7,100 against Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty popular. He was
We've been
playing the other day.
Yeah, we were playing a lot of Mathurin, but I don't think this is the spot to play Mathurin against Houston.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because Jalen Green is questionable in this game. Yeah, definitely not a great.
Probably starts then.
Yeah, not a great time for anybody on the other side of the floor if Amen Thompson's starting. But like, yeah, I mean, I think Levine is probably the guy here at 71. I'm not shying away from Desmond Bane on a bad game, as long as he plays second leg of a back-to-back. Because obviously we've seen him only be back for 3 games. I don't think there's a price I wouldn't pay for Tyson Daniels at this point, especially if there's no Jalen Johnson. Didn't get the steals, John, but guess what? The Great Barrier Thief came away with 4 blocks. He is putting himself into first team all defense discussions.
Oh yeah.
And
defensive player of the year, maybe. Right?
Defensive player of the year.
Keep going this way.
And the minutes are just so great. I mean, 39, 36, 36, 41.
And this is better offense than we ever expected to get out of him.
Correct.
So,
correct.
That DeJounte Murray trade is working out nicely for
us. It really is. That was a very nice trade for sure.
You got the Knicks got a Mikal Bridges revenge game against Phoenix here at $6,400.
Yeah, minutes are great. The Knicks, I'm indifferent about the Knicks. Like outside, like you can play any of their 5, right? Because they're all just going to play big minutes.
Sure. And Amon's here against Indiana. We assume he would start. He's 29 minutes last time against Milwaukee anyways, 10, 7, 2, 1, and 1. Price hasn't really moved. If anything, it's actually gone down a little bit. I mean, we know that there is this kind of upside when he starts and plays heavy minutes. Once Jalen Green, if Jalen Green gets ruled out, do you think he's top 3 rostered players on the slate?
Yes.
Yeah.
5,500 shooting guard, small forward, great matchup. Absolutely.
I would agree with you. Let's see. You mentioned Sharp already, Banton. Anybody else down here that you would look at?
A lot of these guys look the same, like Dort and Kamara. Like if they make shots, they're like the same player, right? They're on the floor for defense, and that's what their purpose is. Grayson Allen, $4,300, 29 minutes off the bench in a tough spot. You and I specifically were like, yo, this guy led the NBA in shooting last year.
Yeah.
He was the 3-point percentage leader. He wasn't going to shoot poorly. It's like the Brandon Miller thing all over again. And suddenly Grayson Allen, who's made now 4 threes and shot 44% in 3 straight games, he's suddenly up to 37% from 3. And now like the play is more viable. There's more peripheral stats attached. I know the price is going up, but 4,300, the Knicks are bottom 10 defense in the league, and they're just beat up. Phoenix is just they're losing a lot of games. I guess Nurkic being back could potentially spell like a little trouble there, because then like we're distributing minutes, but he still has played really well off the bench, so I assume he's going to get high 20s minutes. So yeah, I like Grayson Allen 4,300.
All right. What did campaign end up playing? 22 minutes or 23 minutes because McBride's out, so backup guard.
Yeah, it's a good play.
Campaign there. Anything else for you down here?
Merrill,
I guess would we go again if everybody like sat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's bad, but I mean, if they sit multiple players here, there's going to be.
Yeah. He also just didn't play. That's the problem. Like
also true.
They like didn't play him. He came out. He hit 2 threes in the third quarter, and then he never came back in the game. So I would say the only other name you could probably get to, Lindy Waters. He played 28 minutes in the starting lineup for Golden State again. He wasn't great, but he's $3,800, 28 minutes. If he's starting, I know it's hard to trust Golden State as a whole, but I think it would be worth it if we saw the starting lineup.
Okay. Going on over to small forward. Franz Wagner, 9K against the Clippers. Absolutely 51 fantasy points, 32 actual. This is after he only had 2 points in the first quarter of that game, too. Phoenix ended his run of going over in the first quarter because John put him in his underdog article. And then he took off. He was unstoppable basically from that point on. He's been unstoppable for a month now since Banchero went down. I don't think the Clippers have anything to deal with him at this point. So 9K Wagner, lock it in. The price is still too cheap.
I mean, the Clippers definitely have like a lot of really good defenders. I just don't think it hasn't really mattered, right? For Franz. Like he's been really good. I think this could not be better for the Orlando Magic in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Paolo's back, that they have like this development from Franz just teamed to himself.
Agreed.
Just rattling off 6 wins in a row. Like could not be better suited for like a deep playoff run with that. So yeah, I think it's hard not to like Franz. It is a tough spot. It is a really slow pace game. This game has 206 implied points to it.
Yeah.
Like it is not the most appealing game we've ever seen. So
no, but he's used to playing in low scoring games and still just smashing.
Yeah, the minutes are what we've said. If it's any competitive game we've gotten Franz in, he's played 40 minutes and the shots are there, the peripherals are there. He's really just been great all
Paul George is 81. I know you were super high on him the other day. We pivoted off once Joel Embiid was in, but he was still fine for the price. I mean, it didn't hit the 5x we're looking for, but he was close. I mean, the steals have been really good. The assists have been fine. Not hitting his threes is kind of holding him back in that game, but gets Memphis here. I don't think it's an awful price for Paul George. I know if Maxi's back, it throws a wrench into some things, but there's that. There's Hart at $7,300. Continues to sort of be a decent player. If you want to get to there, a lot of these guys in the mid tier we've talked about. What do you think next? Eason, 56.
Yeah, and truthfully, like another situation. Tari Eason, 3 blocks, 4 steals, 14 rebounds off the bench. You think that dude's coming off the floor? For Jabari, that dude's not coming off the floor. I'm serious. We are trending towards him starting over Jabari Smith. No? He's inevitably starting for this team. I don't know. He's just too good. I think the good thing would be for Tyrese, and getting Amen Thompson into the starting lineup would help him, because then it's just like he's the bench. He's the whole bench unit all by himself. So, I would love if Jalen Green sat. I would love to get to like all the Rockets. I think you could play. You could play 3 starters in Tari Eason and be like good with that, because Van Vliet triple-double threat, Sengun triple-double threat. Eason's going to get there by himself just on like blocks and steals and peripheral stats. Amen Thompson's going to do this. Like, you can play a lot of Rockets in this spot, dude.
Agreed. Working our way down. Let's see. Andrew Wiggins is 54. Got Hunter and Ricochet here. Both of them had good games with Jalen Johnson out of the lineup.
Yep.
So you can take a peek there. Anything else? Dries Walker wasn't very good. Tough spotting in Houston, anyways. Man, 4K.
I assume he would start. That would make the most sense. He was the starter earlier in the year. So probably with Home Skillet out there. Who's out? Norm out. So yeah, it's okay. These they're just such low floor players. This spot is just a nightmare. So
sure.
It is worth mentioning. Garrison Matthews did start the no Jalen Johnson game. Played 28 minutes. Was fine. If you so choose to play him.
Yeah. We can stretch the floor.
Yep.
Let's see. No real other value to look at. Power forward gives you Giannis at 11.5. Yes, Houston. It took him a while to get going. He did eventually get going, but it was a little bit too late to pay off the 12K price tag. Still gave you 20, 13, 4, and 3, and this is a far better spot. Against Chicago, he went for 59, 38 actual in that game. I would expect similar production here.
I would expect similar production as well. And again, I don't think it was a bad play at all against Houston. He had 8 turnovers. That happens. But he is, obviously has just an insane ceiling. So if you get to Giannis at 11.5, you'll probably, more often than not, you'll be happy with the end result.
Yeah, agreed. We've talked Wagner. Obviously, if Jalen Johnson is active, he's a guy that we've liked playing a lot this year. Again, we'll see the situation with Cleveland. With Mobley, had a really good game. Had the double-double, I think it was, or at least he had 9 rebounds. I don't know if did he get the double-double against Boston.
Yeah, he did.
Again, good price tag for him there. Got Grant revenge game at 63.
I mean, if Indiana's shorthanded again, Siakam makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Obviously, he was super great the other day. 10 rebounds with no Miles Turner. They played small most of the game with Toppin, so it would make sense that Siakam would see a side. 39 minutes, 25-point double-double with 5 assists. That's a very good line.
Great. Let's see. Aldama had a huge game. today. I don't know if what do you have? 28 actual in that game.
He had a lot of points.
He
That could be
had
the Zach. That could be the Zach Edey.
Yeah, I'll say if Edey's out again. Sandy played 33 minutes. He was 12 of 19 from the floor. He had 28 and 11 in that game. Brandon Clark played 21 minutes. Jalen Wells played 19 minutes. It was Laravia and Aldama, at least against Denver, that got the minutes with the starters for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, there's like I don't love the price, knowing if we knew he was starting, I'd feel more comfortable with it. Because like I'd love to play like Draymond, knowing that Draymond's going to play 30 plus minutes and has been scoring better and has been like a nice little like triple double threat. I'd feel more comfortable at least playing Draymond in that scenario. So
I'm good with Draymond there. Let's see. What else do we like?
What else do we like?
I mean, there is Obi. If they don't have Turner again, he did play 31
Yes.
minutes in that game, but this is not a good spot for Obi Toppin. They have to play heavy center minutes. So
yeah, but they could also use Siakam defensively, who's 6'10", on Sengun. I'm not saying that's the most fun, but they also just got it wasn't the best spot against Jakub Jokic either. And you know, Toppin was a monster. So he's a really good fantasy point per minute guy that I would be good with using, knowing that he's a good fantasy point per minute guy.
We got Rob Williams, 25 minutes, back-to-back games.
Dude, he is. I don't know why he's $4,400, but
well, I mean, I know why he went for 46 and 29 in the last two games.
No, I'm saying I don't know why he's this cheap.
Only $4,400.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
well, because he was mid price, they had bumped him up $1,400 still. You know, the algorithms are working. You know, they're doing their best they can.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, DeAndre Ayton's doubtful, so him and Clingan are gonna split again, and every time Rob Williams makes it through a game healthy and gets extended, he is inevitably great. So yeah,
agreed. Good price tag for Rob Williams there. You got Isaac, who again we're not sure what's going to happen with the thing. Yabu probably can't play him. Whatever. Iguodaro, 3,900, played 32 minutes. We know Nurkic. We're waiting on that status, right? So
yep. Yeah, I think they're clear. Like I'm interested to see if they do the double big thing. It doesn't seem like a spot they would want to with the size that the Knicks have, but if Nurk is ruled out, I'd be more confident in Iguodaro.
Alrighty, let's go on over to center. Embiid's 98, Towns is 94, Jalen Williams 8,500, Vucevic 81, and Sengun 8K. Towns was as dominant as expected against Washington, but it was a blowout. He played 25 minutes, so he was going for like 80 in that game if he was going to play another 10 minutes, I think. He always kind of has that upside. JoJo played 31 minutes. He's played 33 minutes. He has not looked good in either spot there. Had to go against Bam, played against a super slow Orlando team. I mean, the minutes are good, right?
Minutes are great.
Everything else is not spectacular.
No.
But with the minutes, there's opportunity for him to be great. Maybe the wake-up call was needed in this meeting that they had. And, I mean, he can dominate this Memphis matchup. I mean, he can dominate most matchups, but he can definitely dominate this Memphis matchup.
He can. I just still, am just unsure if he's healthy or not.
If he cares?
Well, that was made apparent. Clearly there's some disconnect. But, it's just healthy. He doesn't look it when he's, just running, but I don't know. I would. The problem is Towns is cheaper. Nothing on Phoenix can stop Karl Anthony Towns in this spot. Vucevic is cheaper. Not the easiest spot, but still, Jalen Williams is a mismatch nightmare for everybody playing center. I mean, he is having another absolute nuke game right now.
You know who could probably handle Jalen Williams though? Rob Williams.
Yeah, but good luck, Rob Williams, trying to run around the court chasing Jalen Williams around. Sengun is $8,000 against Indiana, who
Sengun, I
might not
think,
have a center.
is our play, right?
They don't have a
If no
center.
Miles Turner, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they don't have a center, it's hard not to get to Sengun. Just the Milwaukee game, he ran into Brook and the domination that Brook Lopez showed, but Sengun at 8K would be again. Houston is this is another super appealing Houston
Yeah,
spot.
Brook Lopez went for 61 fantasy points in this game. So like we thought it was going to be Giannis. It was Brook Lopez. Again, the Cleveland guys are going to both in great spots. Maybe one sits. Maybe they both play. Maybe Mitchell and Garland sit. Who knows? But New Orleans doesn't have any front court to deal with Jaron Allen and Evan Mobley. We are expecting, I think, Wendell Carter back in this game for Orlando. I believe he is upgraded to questionable to play. Can you get Zubac? Not that I don't think that matters too much, but he is $7,400. Would you chase Brook Lopez production? 56 and 59 in 2 of the last 3 games.
Yeah, the 56 was him and Giannis just playing by themselves. It's a tournament play. It's a really good spot. It's a really, really good spot.
He's still an elite blocks and now apparently steals guy as well.
It's a very, very good spot. So if you want to get there, it's a sharp play.
Yep. Capella 55. Again, I don't know I guess if Carter's out, Goga continues to be an option for us. Plumlee, if there's no Nurkic. Misi started today. Anything else for you at center?
Guess the right Atlanta day, and you'll win a Clint Capella prize or a Kongwu prize. It was Capella the other night, 28 minutes, 14 and 14. If you get 28 minutes from Capella, 5,500 is too cheap. If you get 28 minutes from Onyeka Kongwu, 5,100 is too cheap.
Sure.
So you could always play. I think both of them make a lot of sense. Clint Gain, he only played the 21 minutes, but the game prior, he hit a 50 ball.
Yeah, so 17, 12, and 8 blocks.
Yeah, and that's that was something that out of college was like very evident. He's a very good shot blocker. So that's something to consider. I mean, Rob Williams has been shooting. I mean, Rob Williams is 15 for his last 16 from the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And he has like a million blocks and steals. If there's any like dip, there's not, this necessarily like this. They drafted Clingain in 4th overall. Like there's more tied to him. So
yeah,
the field's going to play Rob Williams. Clingain is a very viable pivot. I was wondering what Golden State was going to do without Looney the other day. I think Looney's questionable. I thought they would extend Jackson Davis. They didn't. They just don't care about him at all. So he played 20 minutes. Brandon Clark was really good to start the night. Was not good the rest of the night. Basically got benched by Aldama.
Yeah.
And then Enrique Freeman started for Indiana and played 19 minutes. We saw what.
Yeah, we're not going to do that against Houston for sure.
Yeah, not do that
against. All right. Lineup building time here. Center, I think we landed on Sengun. Power forward, we're going to try to fit in Giannis. And then we go from there.
We could also, like, if we couldn't get there, we could obviously always play, we could play Dame. And, like, if we were unable to, like, kind of get Giannis comfortably,
mm-hmm.
we could always play Dame.
Sure. Play Rob Will, like the forward spot. I think we're going to get there fine. Amen. Small forward.
I like Giannis, obviously, but I don't even know if we need to go there.
Okay. We'll...
I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just.
I mean, on this play, he's got one of the highest ceilings. Against the. I mean, what would your spend up be then?
I don't think we need one. I think probably like
fair and balance. Obviously, you're going to play. So you play like Wagner here then 9K.
I was going to say Towns, but it's double center. So like, I mean, Brunson could just do Dame $8,700.
Let's see, do Dame 48 for a small forward and a util, which we certainly have options for. Because one of these Clippers guys will play. We'll plug in man for now, but like it could be anybody.
I just don't play him.
I don't. I mean, we wanted to be Kevin Porter, but one of them are going to play.
Grayson Allen.
Okay, you rather Grayson Allen over man?
Well, we can't play him at small forward. We can play Grayson in the util spot. They're in the 10
Oh
p.m.
no, we can
window
play
anyway.
at small forward. Play Grayson, yeah. Sure. 5,300 util.
The answer here is definitely Delano Banton if we got the Simons news early.
Yeah.
If we didn't, Obi, obviously, if there's no McConnell, if there's no players available in that game.
Yeah, well, I got McConnell up here already, so
okay.
5,100 would be one of these guys. Play Banton and then pivot down, like you said, if there's news like Ricochet or something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Example lineup going a little more fair and balanced. McConnell, Allen, Thompson, Wagner, Sengun, Lillard, Williams, and Banton for those there at home. We'll have the playbook out. Our guy Justin Carlucci making his playbook debut, so be on the lookout for him in the Discord and on Twitter. Until then, everybody, good luck with your lineup builds. We'll be back at 5. We'll see you then.